Catherine Geslain-Lanéelle, welcome to the Forum. You were here last year, you're here this year, and you've just spoken to the Forum. You are Director of Strategy and Policy Analysis at DG Agri, European Commission. You've had people on the stage with you today, and we had Thomas Vilsack give a video message in response, I think, to your panel, the US Secretary for Agriculture. Give me a sense of the debate and the conversation that's been had, because there was quite a lot going on the panel this afternoon.
Indeed, this panel was not boring, and we could recognize, it's never boring at the FFA anyway, but we could recognize the current situation in which we are, where we are looking at the achievement of the last, let's say, 4 to 5 years, and that's normal. We are going to have at the beginning of June elections at the European Parliament, which will have an impact on, the next political priorities of the European Union. So that's important. And so what we've heard during this panel is also, the different views and opinions about not what should be done, because I think the direction of travel, there is quite a consensus on the fact that we need to transform our food system and make them more sustainable and more resilient, including our farming system. But on the how, meaning how can we support the key players of the food chain, how policymakers should act, what they should deliver in terms of a policy environment. So this is what we've heard.
And you heard criticism, of course, that if you're moving the dial, it's not far or fast enough. Certainly, we spoke last year, we talked about delivering food security for European citizens, but at the expense of the environment. And of course, farmers have their voice loud and clear. They're here on tracks today in Brussels again, saying that there isn't enough done to hear their voice, to support them. And the dialogue that you are starting at the end of the term is too little, too late. What did you say to the criticism to the audience today?
Well, I would say it's never too late to engage and have dialogue, particularly if we look at the complexity and the challenges that we have ahead of us. Transforming our food system, it means that, farmers, food industry, cooperatives, retailers, consumers, and policymakers need to work together, agree on, the main objective, set the direction of travel, but also look at the policy tools, the toolkits that we can use to make this transformation happening.
The heat in the debate, though, is that the policymakers haven't got it right. They haven't had that stakeholder engagement.
Yeah, well, I can say that, of course, one of the lessons is probably that we need to further engage because what we've seen over the last couple of years is the perception that we were not listening enough, in particular to the farmers. And that's what also we hear in the farmers' protest since the beginning of the year, with many other requests and criticism, obviously not just this one, simplification, position of the farmers in the food chain, and in particular their income and so on and so forth. But yes, indeed, the question of, listen to us, let's work together is something that we've heard in the farmers' protest and today. And so that's certainly something on which we should deliver better. The strategic dialogue that has started at the beginning of the year, launched by the President of the European Commission, is part of this process where we want to further engage. It brings together 29 representatives of the key stakeholders of the food chain, though they are appointed at person and they represent the interest in the food chain. And the objective is not to, deliver everything, but to see whether together they can, let's say, have a common understanding, a shared vision of what and how we should work together to deliver this transition. And I'm very confident that we will be able to do that with them. The strategic dialogue will end by summer, and we should get by this timeline, we should get a report that will be used by the next Commission and that we will use also in the preparation of the next Common Agricultural Policy.
And you mentioned that, of course, again. I mean, one of the things that you said was that the criticism is the dialogue is late, but the budget is significant and the cap is a third of the total. So I think you pulled from the papers that were shown on the stage. You know, you did pull out that particular paper and make that point.
Yeah, I think it's important to remind ourselves of the attention, though there might be perception that, you know, Europe is not necessarily doing exactly everything like we would like to do it, but it's important to recognize that Europe is supporting and helping farmers, and Europe plays an important role in delivering our daily food security. And as an example, because you need to illustrate that, I just reminded everybody, but I know that people know in this forum, that a third of the budget of the European Union, that is over 300 billion euros for the next 7 years, are dedicated to supporting farmers and agriculture. And that, you know, when we talk about, you know, what Europe can do better and more, we need also to remind ourselves that we already do a lot.
But do the bonds of trust need to be rebuilt to an extent when we see the protests? I mean, today we had Ursula von der Leyen say that administration, the bureaucracy, would be reduced. But we had a young farmer say, we had a visit recently and everything was about the paperwork, and there was half an hour in the barn, in the shed, on the farm, in the field.
Yeah, maybe this example was useful. First of all, it shows that we are not, you know, paying, you know, hundreds of billions of euros to farmers without controlling that this is properly used. I think that we owe that to the taxpayers. It's important to say that we are, yes, indeed, some controls are documentary controls, others are, you know, more in the field and with the animals. Maybe what I can say also is that we've launched a couple of weeks ago a farmers survey in all 27 member states, and we've already received 15,000 replies from farmers about administrative burden, red tape, you know, where they do think that this is too much, and more importantly, do they understand why we are doing that? And if not, you know, this will help us also to make sure that they have a clear understanding of why we have these rules and why we are controlling the compliance with these rules.
But control does stifle innovation. We talk about innovation, we talk about solutions at the forum and their outcomes, you know, delivering that reality. The argument, of course, is that control can punish the unknown, the innovation. What do you say to those critics?
Well, I concur with the fact that innovation is important, and that we need to make sure that we create an enabling environment that helps to boost innovation. This is, for example, what we are trying to do with this legislative proposal to deregulate the new genomic techniques. I think it's very important. I do think also that, yes, indeed, innovation is important, but we already have many solutions. So it is important also to make clear that we shouldn't wait to deliver the transition until we have all the solution, and that innovation is going to be, you know, like a magic, you know, bullet. We already have a lot of solutions, and there are already millions of farmers in Europe who have built, you know, more resilient and more sustainable farming system. But of course, the agriculture that we want and the farming system that we want will be more knowledge intensive and more innovative than the one we have today.
And finally, you did talk about your compass today. You did lay that out, those pillars, but also how important was it to be here in person, to listen to those views and to share, particularly, as we said, on a day where there is heat in the debate and there are protests again.
Yes, so that's why also I like to join the Forum for the Future of Agriculture, because this is a place where you can really engage. I mean, we didn't all agree on everything, but we really listened to each other. So I'll bring also some of the elements to the strategic dialogue and in the preparation of the next EU Common Agricultural Policy.
Katrien, thank you very much. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.